Hey, what's up, you guys? It's the perfect escape. I wanted to come on here and make a video. I missed you guys so much. I wanted to come on here to talk a little bit about some things that I definitely have been more so evaluating, observing, and getting myself into as well. As you know, I love speaking about spiritual awakenings. Spiritual awakenings are definitely a pivotal subject for me to talk about and discuss because it's something that I have gone through for the second time around, and it has definitely been a significant event, spiritual eventual event in my life that has changed a lot of my perspective about things, people in life. And so I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about mindless eating. Because I find that nutrition and food and what we consume in our bodies is extremely important to whatever we're trying to pursue in the long run excuse me, in the long run and the long term. So, mindless eating is a habit that is extremely contagious, and you can actually pick up mindless eating from your company, being around certain people, and then adopting some of their habits and traits based off of the energies in the capacity of that room that you're in. Mindless eating usually comes from a state of being confused. It comes from a state of being unorganized. It comes from a state of being lost. And I find that people who actually mindless eat all the aren't usually always food addicts. They aren't always like have food addictions. People who mindless eat usually are trying to escape from a certain thing that they should be addressing in their life, and they use mindless eating as a form of escapism. And mindless eating, it is I think like the number one thing that causes eating disorders. Yeah, it's the number one habit that causes eating disorders, because when you mindless eat, you don't even taste your food, which and then also creates mental health issues, which I definitely want to get into in another video one day. But mindless eating can cause you, of course, to gain weight, but it can also cause you to weaponize food and not use food as nutrition and fuel. I have been a victim. I have been someone who has been mindless eating in certain situations and events in my life where things happen, and then food, of course, it gives you, for a lot of people, a lot of comfort. Sometimes it's the only thing that we can control. If we don't have other things in our life that we can control, we mindless eat because it's something that we can control. And it can be definitely a controlling thing too, mindless eating. If you don't have a lot of control over what's going on in your life, you do have control over what you put into your body and in your mouth, right? So mindless eating doesn't have to be for people who love food. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be with people who are food addicts. I find that people who mindless eat actually are some of the people who later down the road in their life, they lose a ton of weight because they just become more passionate about being healthy, or they just become more passionate about pursuing a goal versus the food, like how the food actually tastes. For a lot of people, food is like a source of entertainment. It's a source of a thing just to do. It isn't the actual taste of the food or the process of digesting the food that they're addicted to, but it's just, something that they can control. And it's something that can be also very pleasurable, of course, if we love food, right? Food tastes great, whatever food category choice of you love. But mindless eating is something that I just become more and more conscious and aware about because I see it a lot, and it usually stems from your bloodline, like your generation. Like a lot of people in your family um most likely mindless eat, or it's a line of history of people who mindless eat. If if you tend to um do the same thing. I just wanted to come on here to spread the awareness of mindless eating. I think that food is delicious. I think it's nutritious. I think it's, definitely, we love food, right? But mindless eating, it becomes a danger after a while when you don't become cognizant and aware of the things that you're absorbing and putting into your body. Mindless eating, like I said, can in the beginning, it could definitely be a form of escapism, a sense of control, a sense of something to do if you're lost in your life. And yeah, I just wanted to come on here and make a shorter video about mindless eating because I think that a lot of people do it, and I actually have witnessed a lot of people, even in public, mindless eating, like not really tasting their food, but just kind of like putting food in their body and not really listening to their body and just absorbing the food. And then other things get out of whack, whether it's our health, our weight, and it's not because we're actual food addicts. It's just that we're actually not looking at the food, smelling the food, tasting the food, even touching the food, and appreciating and showing gratitude for the meal that we're about to digest. And so mindless eating becomes a habit. It becomes a pattern and a cycle that's extremely hard to get rid of because we grab snacks on the go. We pick up things on the way home, which I don't recommend. I recommend no fast food restaurants. But yeah, mindless eating is definitely extremely common in the United States, and it's definitely a trigger for a lot of health issues and diseases. And it's a mental thing as well. It can definitely cause, since it does start with mind, in the end, eating, it starts with the mind. It starts with the mind being preoccupied, not steady, not stable, not focused, lost, consumed with other things that creates an imbalance, to where you can't particularly focus on that specific thing. And so you use food as just, I find that having the conversation about food, talking about food is like great. Personally, it's a pet peeve of mine when someone asks me, what do you want to eat? Because I personally don't like people feeding me. I feed myself, not in a sense where, my loved ones can't, offer to buy me some food, or they can't offer to, but I'm very mindful about the food I put in my body. And so I don't really like it when people ask me, this is just personal now, what do you want to eat? Or what are you eating today? Because it's just kind of it's almost like very personal to me. Yeah, I find food to be very personal because it's fuel for me. It's the thing that gets me going. It's the things that get me energy, and having that conversation about food and the topic about food is extremely serious to me because it's a life or death thing in a lot of people's lives. And so a lot of the times people aren't on the same page as you when it comes to food consumption. And so when they randomly ask you, what do you want to eat, or what are you eating, and you say, I want grapes, strawberries, cucumbers, and some celery, then they're like, that's it. And it's like that becomes a whole thing that, it becomes like a personal attack. It becomes offensive to a person who doesn't consider food to just be food, but considers food to be fuel. And not everybody's on the same page with that, because people are doing a lot of mindless eating. They're doing eating for recreational purposes. They're eating for social environment circumstances. They're eating because they have nothing else to do, versus making it a priority, a topic to discuss, and something that's just like very important to keep in mind. And so, mindless eating, it is a detriment to today's society. I have been seeing a lot of things online more so about food lately. I don't really pay attention to it because, um, when it comes to food, I feel like a lot of people are on a different wave, a different topic of discussion when it comes to just that category of food consumption, because everybody's body is made up differently, and everybody's reaction to certain sensitivities in food is different. And so that topic to me isn't very lighthearted. I take food consumption and nutrition extremely serious, even though I'm not perfect and I have my times where I feel like I self-sabotage, which I want to get into another video about that as well, because we have to be honest, about our journey when it comes to health. We have to be honest, and whole about how dedicated and how disciplined and how honest we are about our journey when it comes to food consumption and mindless eating, because I see that a lot of people talk a lot about being healthy, but they talk about portion sizes, and the portion sizes that are consumed aren't nutritional. And so it then becomes like a hypocritical thing when someone it just has more of the same thing that you're consuming. It's the same thing. It's not any different. You guys are on the same page. It's just that you guys are on maybe different paragraphs, but you are eating the same things. You're feeling, tasting, seeing, you're filling your environment up with the same thing, and so it's no different. We shouldn't judge someone who, so much, who isn't as particular with the same thing. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk a lot more about nutrition because that is the journey I'm also on. And I did talk about in my previous videos how nutrition also plays a big aspect in spiritual awakenings, because when we're dealing with certain energies that we have in our body that moves around or becomes awakened, we have to clear our body to make space for new energies to come in. And, that includes being mindful about what you eat. And yeah, so this is your girl, The Perfect Escape. I miss you guys so much. Definitely more videos on the way. And I'll be talking to you all soon. Mwah.